ever school conference of parties exposition held by GEMS Education and hosted by the Kindergarten Starters Dubai. When Scope 2020 came into inception earlier this year, the idea was to hold a conference that will bring students from all over the world together and help them find ways in which they can curb climate change. The world is ever changing, and even in the midst of a pandemic, Mother Earth is battling for survival from mankind. We believe that by bringing the future of the world together, we will be able to generate ideas that will help build a world that is not only sustainable, but one that will not give up on us when we need it the most. The kindergarten starters, with over 30 years of building kindness and generosity into the lives of its students, understands the need for a sustainable future. And this comes at the back of the vision of the chairman of the GEMS group, Mr. Sunny Varki. Mr. Varki has not only let the schools grow, but has also been a catalyst in giving its students innumerable opportunities that have helped them build their character strengths and realize that learning is a lifelong journey. We have a short message from him today on this joyous occasion. And as we begin the day, let's just read what he has to say. Mr. Varki has sent us a very nice message which reads, as you will know, the simple principle that drives GEMS education is that the greatest gift we can possibly give our children is a quality education and solid values that they can rely upon throughout their lives. You will see if you look at our GEMS core values that global citizenship is one of those very important gifts that we can bestow on our students. We want them to become useful citizens however they decide to lead their lives, and a part of that is an interest in becoming the future guardians of our planet. I speak at a time when the world is being challenged by a global pandemic, but the issues of growing pollution and shortages of food and water that have long been threatening humanity's future have not gone away. So I'm delighted to see that the Kindergarten Starters School and its principal, Asha Alexander, are keeping this vital subject in the spotlight in the shape of Scope 2020. This is an opportunity for our community around the world to investigate and debate solutions that can really make a difference in protecting our world. I think it is absolutely marvelous to see that this project is being headed by our young people because they will be our future world leaders in 30 years' time. I wish you great success. A great message from a great leader. We hope that in 30 years, we do see the world grow into a greener and lusher environment with lesser pollution. Because as Mr. Ban Ki-moon has rightly said, climate change does not see any borders or class. It is indeed a global challenge and one that we can fight against if we have a sustainable environment. A sustainable environment is one in which we coexist with our environment, and we need to take this more seriously now more than ever. We need to understand that everything on this planet is connected and balance is the key. We need to bring about a social, economic, and environmental balance if we wish to excel. And if this is not done, it will be detrimental. I feel that this is why even Expo 2020 is working towards showcasing this through their sustainability vision and their sustainability pavilion. Terra, the sustainability pavilion designed by UK-based Grimshaw architects, is meant to meet the highest available accreditation for sustainable architecture, LEED Platinum certification. Here's presenting you a short video from the team at Expo 2020 about Terra. The United Arab Emirates has always and will always be committed towards building a sustainable future, and that is a path that we at the Kindergarten Starters follow too. I would now like to welcome Mrs. Asha Alexander, Executive Leader of Climate Change at GEMS Education and Principal of the Kindergarten Starters Dubai, to know what it is that drove her to building this platform for students around the world that we now very fondly call Scope 2020.
The time for action is now. As Dubai welcomes the world to the Expo next year, the underlying theme of sustainability will be emphasized yet again for everyone all across the globe. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President of the UAE, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai's vision, is clear in establishing sustainability's pillars as a key component of Dubai's development journey. And this is a top priority that it strives to implement. As educators, we look upon our children as our future, and we need to take action as the climate crisis is quintessentially a child right crisis. On behalf of GEMS Education, I take this opportunity to welcome all our distinguished speakers, young climate activists, participants and viewers worldwide to Scope 2020, the world's first school conference of parties expo for students in schools to debate and discuss climate action. We're at a critical turning point in the life of our planet, and Scope 2020 has been born of a vision to enable students in schools to raise their voices in the hope that policymakers and leaders will act to limit the effects of the climate crisis. We have to keep demanding action as there are no other alternatives. This includes the introduction and embedding of climate literacy in schools and the necessity to effect behavioral changes in citizens all around the world. An army of Greta Thunbergs has now risen to combat climate change and act towards building a sustainable tomorrow. Young people far and wide are now standing up and speaking out in support of climate action. However, this is not enough. The world needs systemic changes in our economic and political domains. Our greed is at the expense of our planet. Our countries, businesses, and governments have put short-term financial gain over long-term environmental well-being. We need to build an economy that serves the planet and all its people. Our children should not be out of school, sacrificing their education, their hopes and dreams, and their childhood to fight for the planet. Scope 2020 is a platform for students in schools to share their stories of grit and determination that will resonate throughout the world. Through ethical debates and negotiations, students will try to reach scalable solutions to the crises their countries are facing and enhance their understanding of the challenges that face the planet. The Sustainable Development Goal 13 calls for urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. In addressing climate change, our children will traverse the connection to several other SDGs that are intrinsically linked to climate change. We need to teach our children empathy, kindness, and nurture. And this is not possible for any one of us to do unless we learn to put others ahead of ourselves, be it the people or the environment. At this particular moment in the Earth's history, a pandemic has awakened us to the realities of a worldwide disaster that we have perhaps read only in history books. The climate crisis is going to push us over the brink. The poorest and the most vulnerable people are going to be affected. This is not a time to apportion blame to any individuals or countries. It is rather a time to come together to seek solutions for what we have let fall. We need to ensure that our youth are climate literate and understand the scientific principles that are related to climate science so that they can take responsible and decisive actions for their future. The purpose of Scope 2020 is to empower students with high levels of climate change awareness, deep climate change research, and collaborative problem-solving skills. Scope 2020 is the beginning of a new journey to amplify student voice. And the next year, we're hoping to bring all our students together to Dubai as it opens its doors to the world. Welcome once again to an exciting new opportunity to let our young voices resound across the globe. Welcome to Scope 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Alexander. The world does need to act now and pay attention to the long-term effects that our acts will have on this planet. Empathy and kindness towards people and the environment are indeed lessons that we need to teach not only our future but all generations. Today marks the United Nations Day, and on this occasion we have with us Mr. Nicholas Sven-Ginson, Manager of the United Nations Climate Change Global Climate Action, Germany, who will talk about the role of UNCC and the need for climate action.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction, and good morning and hello and good evening wherever you are. It's very nice, and it's a great opportunity to be part of Scope here today. So my name is Nicholas Svenningsson. I'm working for the United Nations, a part that is called the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It's a long name, but basically it's a very interesting job. Our job is really to get all the countries of the world, all the 197 governments that are there, to work together to tackle climate change. Now, the big plan we have is called the Paris Agreement. It's an international agreement that was adopted 5 years ago in Paris in France. And that plan is basically saying that all countries, all governments agree to work together to stop climate change and to stop it from exceeding 2 degrees or ideally 1.5 degrees of heating of our planet compared to what we used to have before the Industrial Revolution, before we started to pump greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Now, we already today see severe impact from climate change in forms of extreme weather events, dying coral reefs, melting glaciers, and heat waves, and so on. And that is already bad, but what we really are afraid of is that if we are pushing climate change above 1.5 or 2 degrees, we are going to see whole ecosystems, just fizzling out. And those are the ecosystems that are supporting life on planet, including ourselves. So we absolutely have to avoid that. Now, how is that going? Well, if you're looking in terms of global heating and temperature records, the 10 hottest years that we have had on record since we started measuring temperatures 300 years ago have been 2010, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. And 2020, we don't have the final temperature records, but we know that September last month was the hottest month ever recorded on this planet. So we are not going in the right direction yet, and we need to work together to bring things down. Now, science tells us that if we are going to be able to do that, we need to reduce our global greenhouse gas emissions by almost 50% in 10 years, and then by 100% in 20 to 30 years. So how do you do that? Well, getting 197 governments to agree on a plan is fantastic. That's already really, really good. But it's not enough, because we really need everybody to be part of the solution here. Everything we do in our daily lives, how we eat, how we consume, how we travel, everything has a greenhouse gas footprint, a climate footprint. So it means that we are part of the problem, but we can also choose to be part of the solution. Now, here's the thing. To reduce greenhouse gas emissions, you cannot just say we forbid or we outlaw greenhouse gas emissions. We need to change how we produce energy, how we produce manufacture goods and services, how we produce food, how we produce clothing, how we travel, and all that. So it's really a very fundamental and complex problem, and that is maybe one of the reasons why it's been taking 25 years already for our negotiators to make the progress that they have done, which obviously is not enough. So the good news is that we actually do have the technologies, we do have the solutions to climate change, but if we are going to implement them, we need to think in time perspectives of 10, 20, 30 years. But most politicians and decision makers today are thinking about what we will do next week, next month, next year, maybe 3-4 years into the future. And think about it yourself. How long are your plans? The plans that you have today, are they for tomorrow? Are they for next week, next month, next year? Are they for 30 years into the future? Probably not. So what we do is that we need good decisions. And who takes those decisions? Well, let me share one thing. I have been working in the United Nations for more than 20 years now. And one thing that I have learned is that we are all people. It really doesn't matter if you're the president of the country, if you're the chief executive of a large corporation, if you're a doctor in a hospital, if you are the driver of the train, an engineer, a teacher in a school, or a student, or a civil servant like me somewhere. We are all the same, and we all take decisions every day. And those are the decisions that really, really matters. We decide what we eat, what we dress, what we do, what we buy, how we travel, and so on. We also decide who we vote for, who we elect our decision makers. We are the ones who are living the lives in our cities, on our countrysides. We consume the goods, we consume the services, and we are also decision makers in our daily lives. We are deal breakers, we are deal makers, we are troublemakers for sure, but we are also absolutely essential to make anything happen in this society. My point is that it is individuals, it's you and it's me who make the decisions that can enable our fight against climate change. And that is why education, training, and public information is so fundamentally important. This is why you, students who are attending this conference here today, are also so important, because you have more information, more awareness, more knowledge, and more technology at your fingertips that any other person has had before you in the history of mankind. That doesn't mean that my generation or other generations should leave the problem to you. No, not at all. But we have to work together. So I really, really hope that you will make the right decisions, that you choose to use your knowledge and your education to be climate smart, that you tell your friends, your family, your teachers, your colleagues, whoever you're working with, about climate change and why you choose to take action. So let me round off by saying a big thank you to Asha and to the other organizers of Scope 2020 for giving us this opportunity to spend this day together, to listen, to learn, and be inspired. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholas. Change is the only constant in the world, and we do need to bring a grand change to our lifestyles if we wish to be a part of the solution and not the problem. Let us hope that we all make the right decision towards a sustainable environment. The world needs to act now and save this environment. And inspiring us today, we have with us Ms. Lissy Priya, a 9-year-old child environmental activist from India.
I am worried about the health of the school children and small babies. Just see in Delhi how air pollution is so dangerous and even children can't move out of the home. I'm here in front of the Parliament House to tell our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, and our MPs to pass the climate change law as soon as possible from the paper to become action. Just see in Delhi how air pollution is so dangerous and even children can't move out of the home. I am worried about the health of the school children and small babies. Government announced that there would be holidays for 3 days, again for 5 days, 10 days. But this is not a solution. I want every national and international media to write a real name while writing a story, because we have our own identity, own name, own country, and own story. If you call me Greta of India, then you are not writing a story, you are deleting a story. Hi everyone, my name is Lisapriya Kanguja. I'm 9 years old. I'm an Indian climate activist and the founder of the Child Movement. Thank you so much, COP 2020, for inviting me here to speak in this program. Coronavirus is the testing time for our leaders and human beings. 2020 is a very crucial year to decide the future of our planet. But due to this COVID-19, it weakened our movement but not our spirits. I had to cancel lots of my planned schedules, events, programs, activities, campaigns, etc. But I still continue to plant trees nearby roads, places to my home. It's really hard to manage these lockdowns. People always tell me that you are too young to get involved in such activism. But I prove them that age doesn't matter to make a difference. I'm big or small, it doesn't matter. I am a good child. I'm strong, smart, intelligent, and brave. Many children and youth inspire from me. You can just see in Delhi how air pollution is so dangerous, and even children can't move out of their home. I'm worried about the health of the school children and small babies. Government announced that there would be holidays for 3 days, again for 5 days, 10 days. But this is not a solution. Our leaders are just busy in blaming each other instead of finding a long-term solution. They are just saying the speech, they are not doing any action. I want our world leaders to do more action. Otherwise, our future and our planet would be dying soon. They must act now to save our planet and our future. You can just see in Arctic and Himalayas how icebergs are melting twice as fast as ever before, and how sea level are increasing, and the earth is becoming very hot. I'm worried about the future of our planet, and many biodiversity hotspots become climate hotspots now. I think you all heard in the news about Australia bushfire, California wildfire, Amazon rainforest fire, and Siberia forest fire. More than billions of animals has died, millions of trees has gone. I'm really very sad. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't even take my food. Many children lost their homes, but this is the real effect of climate change. Our leaders don't have time to listen to us. Why they don't hear all our voice? But this is a real climate emergency. They must act now to save our planet and our future. I have a small message to all the children of the world. Children must tell their parents that they shouldn't cut trees. If they cut one tree, then plant minimum 10 or 20 trees. Don't use car or bikes every time. And children must tell their parents that they should walk if it's nearby, or they can use the bicycle. Please don't use single-use plastic at your home. Please do not throw garbage or plastic on street, ocean, rivers, seas, or any other places. Please plant more trees. Trees are very important for our life. They help us to control the carbon emission and greenhouse gases. Today, I want to share something with everyone living in this world from my little heart. We all know we are facing a pandemic on one side and flood, drought, heat waves, cyclones, etc. on another side. Now, this is the time to wake up. This is the time to open up our eyes. This is the time to send your children and grandchildren to fight for their survival and for their own future. The best gift parents can give to their children is not a beautiful house, expensive cars, lots of money. The best gift you can give to your children is a beautiful planet. To give this planet, you have to empower yourself. If you can empower yourself, then you can empower your family. If you can empower your family, then you can empower your neighborhood. If you can empower your neighborhood, then you can empower your community. If you can empower your community, then you can empower your state. If you can empower your state, then you can empower your country. If you can empower your country, then you can empower the whole world. Empowerment means independent. Independent means freedom. Freedom is when you can protect your land and environment. Freedom is when you can protect your children's future, culture, and health. Freedom is when no one can discriminate you on the basis of caste, creed, color, sex, or any other differences. Freedom is when you can read and write. Freedom is when you are out of hunger. Freedom is when we are all together in this fight. Fight for your freedom. Thank you. Jai Hind. Sanaliba Manipurni Arfi. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Priya.
Welcome.
2020 is a crucial year with the pandemic raging upon us and marking only 10 years away from achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Let us be inspired by activists like Priya and not only work towards curbing climate change, but performing small acts like planting trees whenever and wherever we can. A seed today will be our shelter tomorrow. At the back of her beautiful and inspiring words, let us vow to empower the world that is with us today. The planet is one that we have inherited, and as its children, we need to take care of it. I would now like to welcome Ms. Zena Hobson, ZA Partners erstwhile chairperson of Ofsted, who believes that it is time that we look at our future generations to address this change.
Hello, everyone. As you said, I'm Zena. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm an educationalist, a businesswoman, and I'm the owner of a very scruffy dog, which I adore. And I am absolutely delighted to be at this event, to be at Scope. Listening to young people is the only way we are going to save our planet. Events like this that hear from you are the embodiment of the change we need to see. So thank you for having me. I think I have to own this because it's my generation that has destroyed the climate and much more. Yes, I had a little help from my parents, but really it is my generation. In the last 55 years, we have done the most devastating amount of damage to the planet. When I was your age, we did not have drinks in plastic bottles. They didn't exist. Coca-Cola introduced the first trial plastic bottle in 1975. Today, people around the world buy 1 million plastic bottles a minute. That's 1.5 billion plastic bottles sold a day worldwide. Do we really need them? I used to drink from the tap. When I was your age, we didn't use plastic bags for our shopping. We took our own bags to the shop. Today, 5 billion plastic bags are used a year. That's 150 per person per year. We simply don't need these single-use plastic bags. Today, 88% of the sea's surface is polluted by plastic. That's not just bags and bottles, that's all the plastic we use. But can we do something about that? Can you do something about that? When I was your age, we had 40% more ice in the ice sheets and the ice cap than we do today. As you know better than me, ice keeps the planet cool and houses diverse species, adding to our biodiversity. And obviously, It contains the water, so it stops sea level rising. If all our ice melted, I think it might rise by 60 meters. That's most of us underwater. When I was your age, I got 1 or 2, at best 2, new items of clothing a year. That's clothes that were bought from a shop for me. All the rest of my clothes were hand-me-downs, or they were homemade, or they were second-hand. By hand-me-downs, I mean I wore my brother's clothes. Young people in developed countries today buy on average 15 items of clothing a year, with some buying as many as 14 items of clothing a day. How many do you buy? The fast fashion industry is responsible for 10% of the carbon emissions. And for an example, one pair of jeans to make uses approximately 6,800 litres of water in their production. Do we need to buy more than one pair of jeans a year? When I was your age, we ate home-cooked food. We had our milk delivered in reused glass bottles. We didn't snack between meals. We drank water from the tap. Today, in America, a quarter of people eat at least 3 meals from fast food and takeout restaurants a week. Just an example of one of those fast food outlets, and I could have picked any, but when I was your age, there were 1,500 McDonald's in the world. There are now 40,000. McDonald's recognise they are helping to destroy the planet, so they have set themselves a target by 2020 to reduce their climate impact. And they say if they achieve their climate impact in the reductions they will make, that will be equivalent to taking 32 million passenger cars off the road, or 3.8 billion trees grown for 10 years. And that's just what they plan to save in their carbon reduction target. Think what their footprint is. I have been the generation that has demanded fast food, fast fashion, disposable products, convenience. I have been the generation that have put my needs above the needs of other animals, plants, and species on this planet. You will be the change, and I believe you can fix it. You can make small changes to the way you do things. Take the pledge not to use single plastic. Don't use carrier bags. Look at how things are produced. Think about what you eat. Be responsible for your footprint. You will be the consumers of tomorrow. Think about what you would like to buy. Think about what you will not compromise on. What will you take a stand on? And most importantly, you are the leaders of tomorrow. You will be leading the businesses. You will be leading the governments. You will be leading in your department or in your area of work. You, or in charities, you have the power to plan today the leader you want to be. My generation needs to accept that we have failed you. We need to support you, but we need to move over. We need to check. You will be the change we need. You will be leading the way. You will be inspiring us. You are the future, and you are my inspiration. You have the power, and I thank you for what I know you will go on to do to ensure my grandchildren have a life on a sustainable planet. You will be the change, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Zena. Listening to young people is the only way we are indeed going to save our planet. The damage done is not irreparable, but it is something that we need to work on, and we need to act now. Let us take a stand and become leaders of tomorrow that will hopefully reverse this damage to build a more sustainable world. Let us not fail our future generations and be the change we need. Following the footsteps of those before us is what we have been taught, but I think it is time we start following the footsteps of our future. To help you find your path, I now present to you Ms. Syed Kifa Bukhari, a young child environmental activist from the Kindergarten Starters, Dubai.
Good morning and a warm welcome to Scope 2020. My name is Kifa Bukhari and I am 8 years old. Before I begin, I'd like to thank my school principal, Ms. Asha Alexander, and the GEMS group for providing us students with this opportunity to raise our voices. Today, I'm going to be speaking on perhaps mankind's gravest issue. Yes, today I'm going to be speaking about climate change. Many of you might find it tiring to listen to the repeated cry of action for climate change. Sure, many other people must have mentioned the dreadful impacts of climate change. But my question is, how much has it really moved you? The degradation of Amazon, the floods, and the global temperature surge are reactions of these several triggers that we as humans set forth. These issues have ripple effects and have become a threat to global climate health. Our climate needs us, and we need to answer its calls. We need to stop being ignorant and complicit. We need to stop believing that we are the reason. We need to stop waiting for someone to start an initiative. What we need to do together is to get together for our climate. Let us watch that negligence will never come in our way as we work toward rebuilding our climate. Let us take a pledge to reverse the harmful effects of climate change. Today, as I speak at this first ever school conference of Parties Expo, I feel a sense of satisfaction that my voice will be heard. Let us take it forward from here and create an everlasting change that will bind us together as we pledge our support towards climate change. The time has arrived for us to take a stand in this together. The real problem is not global warming, climate change, or environment destruction. It is us. These complications are a symptom of us, a consequence of us. When enough people come together, we can definitely make waves and wash the world into a new epoch. Time is ticking, and it is up to us. Yes, you all are listening to me behind your screen. Time has arrived to make an effort, because together we can save our planet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kippa, for those inspiring words. We have created ripple effects that have affected our climate. And as Kippa said, let us pledge to reverse the harmful effects that have led to climate change. Let us look forward to a future where we stand together to create a greener environment. Time is indeed ticking, and it is time to act now. I would now like to call upon Mr. Angus Mackey, Director and Division for Planet Manager, Green Development and Climate Change, United Nations Institute for Training and Research, UNITAR, who will share with us his story of change on how climate literacy courses and the work of the UN is starting a new wave that is helping the world become a more peaceful and sustainable place to live in.
Thank you so much indeed. I'm really amazed at how well these messages today are being communicated across generations, and I think that's a fundamental difference and change. We've got to do more of this. We've got to talk clearly and honestly across generations without being patronizing, and I do think that that is something that we need to address. So congrats to Scope 2020, to Asha and the whole team on this event. And of course, it is today the 75th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations, 24th of October 1945. None of us were around then. And I think at the time, the UN, it was a rather radical move. This had never been done before. The old idea of multilateralism was not something that we talked about or thought about. And here we are 75 years later, and the UN is a big piece of trying hard to address this global challenge amongst many others. So my name is Angus. I work for another piece of the UN. The UN is made up of lots of different bits. So my bit is called UNITAR, and we're a training organization. We're based in Geneva, in Switzerland. And I guess my main message is that you are all doing the right thing by being here today. I mean, that's a start. You're here listening, you're contributing. You're taking an interest in an issue that may just be the defining one for this century, and it will certainly shape your lives, the entirety of your lives, and the decisions you make. So we actually, to some extent, refer to this generation as Generation Climate for that reason. It is not an ideal situation. We should be honest about that. But it is where we have got to as a global society, and we're having to now learn to live with the consequences. So my message also is that the United Nations wants to help youth as much as possible to get involved in understanding climate change, first of all, but also getting involved in actions that can resolve the issues we're now facing. But we also want to help teachers. We want to help schools, their communities, and we want to help the education systems that those operate within, country by country. And as everyone has said this morning, this is because we're all going to need to make changes to the way in which we live, how we move around, what we eat, and the many products that we use and consume. And as some of you may know, we now talk about the concept of circularity, so that the waste product of one product becomes the raw material for the next. So you have a closed virtual circle. We need to move to circular economy. Now, one of the things that we've been doing is that we've been putting, we've been organizing something called Youth Climate Dialogues. And what that involves is putting youth together from around the world in live debates. And that debate is about the global, but also the local nature of climate change. So climate change is a global issue. We understand the science. The way that it affects every individual may be different depending on who you are and where you live. So there is this global, local complexity. And these climate dialogues are about that. So what we do is we contact 2 schools in different parts of the world, and they then prepare with their teachers for a Skype discussion on climate change and how climate change is affecting their lives. And we would like this to happen a lot more. We would like this to be something that, you know, any teacher in any classroom could talk to any other in the world. Wouldn't that be an amazing thing? And share your stories. So I just want to share one story quickly about one of these dialogues, and then I'll conclude. So a couple of years ago, we did one of these dialogues between the members of an environmental club in a refugee camp on the border between Ethiopia and Somalia. So that was one side of the dialogue. And then we had a school in France, actually, on the other side of the dialogue, and they prepared and they had this debate. It was really a truly extraordinary experience for all involved. And why? Because, as you can probably imagine, under normal circumstances, these children, these 2 groups, would probably never have met in their lives, and they never would have had a chance to exchange their views because of the circumstances. So they talked about climate change, but they also, I mean, I guess they mainly shared their hopes for the future. Isn't that what you would want to do? Or this is what I want to do in my life. And it was particularly poignant because of the different situations that the 2 groups found themselves in. And there was one young man of about 15, I think, and he'd been living in the camp, this refugee camp, for most of his life. And he'd won a prize, some kind of international writing competition. And he got a little bit of money for this. And he used the money to set up a small shop selling school supplies in the camp. And that helped him, and it also helped to feed his family. And he said that he wanted to become an inspirational speaker and a motivator, rather like some of the people on the call that we've heard today. And I thought, well, what an incredible starting point he has for such a journey and such a career. And there's a couple of messages really that came out of that experience that I wanted to share with you. The first is that no matter where you are in the world, where you live, or whatever your situation, climate change is going to affect you, and it probably is affecting you. That's the first part. But the second part is a very positive message, which is that behind this is shared experience across humanity that can unite us and unite us as never before. Because of climate change, we are learning about each other in remarkable ways, because we can through technology like today, and because we must, as many have said today, in order to sustain everything that's good and valuable about the societies in which we live. So it's a double-edged thing. Yes, it's urgent and there are risks, but what an incredible dialogue we're able to have as a result of climate change, how much we're learning about each other and our societies that will build us a much stronger one in the future. So I'm positive. Thank you for listening, and well done for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Angus. The United Nations wishes to help the youth and help teachers and the education systems present today. Let us work with them in a manner that will create an environment which is rich not monetarily, but in the form of its knowledge that will help us advance our future. No matter your situation, as Mr. Angus said, climate change is affecting you and will affect you no matter your social strata. So unite and come together to learn about each other and live not as individuals but a collective group called humankind. It is imperative that the world does have a climate literate teacher in every classroom to teach these lessons, and every adult is educated about this. We have amongst us today Ms. Melanie Harwood, who will tell us about what Educate Global has done to inspire schools to embed climate literacy into its curriculums.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the speakers. This has been fantastic. And the children, you are awesome. Now, in the news this week, I had to laugh. At first, I was a little bit miffed, but then I realized, actually, this is a gift. There was a fantastic headline and it said, "Mad English Woman." And I thought, what? They're calling me a mad English woman. And then I thought, no, hang on, I'm not English, because you can hear I'm originally from South Africa. And then I thought, no, hang on a minute. They always say that Elon Musk is mad. So we're also from South Africa. So there must have been something in the water from our generation. Now, 2.5 years ago, I was very, very lucky. One evening, I met Angus Mackay to dinner, and we were having a chat about his climate dialogues. And I went back to my best friend Alex's home and I was going through it and I thought, no, we can be doing more. And I was very cheeky. I sent Angus a WhatsApp at 3 a.m. in the morning. And I said, look, how are we going to solve this problem? So we are now 2.5 years down the line. That was the beginning, I think. Yeah, it was, of Educate Global. And I made a terrible mistake. I honestly thought that we only needed one Educate Global climate change teacher in every school. We launched the original climate change teacher course on the 22nd of April 2019. And Angus said to us, we were at COP24 in Katowice in Poland, and he said, no, keep it to 80 schools in the United Kingdom. Do you remember that, Angus? Well, it went viral. 329,000 schools in more than 43 countries around the world. But we learned some very valuable lessons from that, because the teachers and the head teachers were feeding back to us. And we built a support desk, and on average every day we were receiving between 3,900 and 4,800 support tickets every day. Now that's just myself and Denise Meisner and my husband John and a very small little team of individuals trying to answer all these questions. But we took all of the questions and we said, right, there must be something that they want here. And the overriding realization for us was that we needed a leadership team in every school. And the head teacher nominates that leadership. So we have an Educate Global Sustainability and Climate Change lead teacher. They have 5 support team members to begin with. That's our bronze award. And then we shift them up to silver, and they very quickly start moving to gold. Now, Asha taught us that she has every single teacher in her school has done that entry course, that climate change teacher course. But teachers kept asking us, how do we teach climate change? We now have this basic knowledge. What do we do? So we worked with a head teacher in Derbyshire, Fiona Cowan, and we built the How to Teach Climate Change inset training. And this has been incredibly successful. And I'm very, very proud to announce that on the 16th of November, we are now shifting up a gear. 262 teachers, well, there'll be the first 60 will be doing our climate literacy train the trainer course, which is accredited by Manchester University. And those teachers, it is the most incredible course, because I've spent the last 1.5 years doing courses all over the world, desperately trying to find that what I was after, what the schools wanted. And I went and did the Al Gore climate literacy, climate leadership training. And I thought, that's great. But I loved my accountability group. And in my accountability group, I met some of the most incredible professors in this specific field. And I was so lucky that I was invited to do this climate literacy course. And we discussed it with Manchester University and Nottingham University, and they have agreed to exclusively partner with Educate Global. Now, my personal mission is for us to upskill 100 million teachers in the world in the next 12 months. 12 months, and I know that we can do this. And we've had some incredibly interesting people beating a path to our door in the last few weeks. And I'm not really now allowed to name names. One of those teams was from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, IKEA Foundation, and they are keen to see how we can potentially work together and partner with them to deliver this globally to more than 2 billion students. And then we had a crown prince from the Middle East, and he is a visionary who wants to deliver Educate Global into all 35,000 schools in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. There are leaders that are listening and are watching you, kids. They are watching us. I can assure you, if I'm watching my media and my press releases telling me that I'm a mad woman from England, I can assure you they are watching that media. Now, the reason that we need these teachers in every school, the reason we need these train the trainer climate literacy teachers, because they are going to be developing that cross-curricular climate curriculum. We don't need lesson plans. That's something that I learned to bypass right from the word go. We built a mega e-library. It's the world's largest e-library on sustainability and climate change learning. And you know what? We needed something more than that, because teachers are very resourceful. Ash's teachers were sending me lesson plans in their, I came home with a whole suitcase of lesson plans from Dubai last year. So teachers know what to do. Once they have the training, they know what to do. Now, climate change affects every single aspect of our lives, every single aspect of our daily living on our planet, everything we do, everything we think, everything we want, everything we buy, everywhere we go, even in our homes, everything we eat, everything we wear. So by ensuring our teachers are these phenomenal climate literacy trainers, train the trainers. They will be educating every child in their school. They will be building that cross-curricular climate curriculum. And you and I together, and all of us here today, we will be changing the world. Now, Zena said something interesting. She said that you will be the change. And I have to disagree with her. We will be the change. My generation, we may be dinosaurs, and you are going to take over from us, but we will do this together. So these wrinkly oldies that you see here, yes, we may have caused this, but we have stepped up to the mark, and with you guiding us and leading us, I want to just give you some pointers. There's a fantastic book. I'm going to give you some recommended resources and recommended reading. I want you to go and look at a book called How Bad Are Bananas by Tim Berners-Lee. I also want you to go and look at a book called Drawdown, edited by Paul Hawken. And then I want you to look at The Ecology of Commerce, another book by Paul Hawken. And look at an amazing book called Designing Regenerative Cultures by Daniel Christian Wall. I will give all of the resources to Asha and the Scope team, and they can add the links to those books to this talk at a later stage. And another interesting thing that has happened to us, when we did COP25 with Angus in Madrid last year with Asha, Asha went with us. Dino, you didn't take us up on that ticket. I still haven't forgiven you. Right. But we'll talk about that later, because we'll have to do COP26 together, won't we? It's a deal. It's a deal, Nicholas. Deal, Angus. We're going to be there. When we were doing this, there was a gentleman in the Orkney Islands who was watching Asha and my talk at COP25 in Madrid, and he got in touch with us. And he has developed something which is going to empower villages. It is a product called Vienga that has almost been blocked for almost 30 years, but we'll get into that later. And it is the most incredible invention that could power 20,000 households and businesses next to a river. It will provide data, free data for schools, because Leah is going to tell us that data is expensive in her country. Uganda, $45 a month just to be able to have data on your mobile phone. If we are going to upskill teachers, we need products and inventions like this next to every single town and village and city so that we can empower the world quickly. So remember, we've got 12 months. We can change the world in 80 days. We will be the change. And we're starting. Remember that date. And finally, before I go, Lizzie said something interesting. She said, if we can't read and write, how are we going to learn climate literacy? Asha Alexander's schools in the last few weeks are the very first teachers in the whole of the Middle East that are going to be handwriting specialist teachers. But we've got a deal. They're going to be doing that in Urdu, Arabic, Hindi, and all the languages that they speak, because I'm coming through. You know, I'm like a bulldozer, I won't stop. And I cannot thank all of you. You are the leaders of tomorrow, and we are going to help you get there. There are 5 people that run the media of our world. My team and I are going to be delivering something within Educate Global to show each and every one of you how you can turn your school into a PR and marketing agency, how you can have your very own media and broadcast centers, because you are going to get your stories out. Lissy, you said that the media kept changing your name, didn't they? They kept saying that you were the Greta of India, Greta of where you were. And you said that by removing your name, they were removing your story. So once you own your own media and you put your own press out, you own the media. And when you own the media, you own the world. You change the world. So that's me. That's about it in a nutshell. I want every single school to sign up to Educate Global. Remember, 2 C's in Educate Global. And I look forward to continuing working with Angus and Nicholas, the UN. We've partnered with NASA, UCI, University of California, Irvine, Imperial College London, Manchester University, my goodness, Cambridge University. They are coming in at a rate of knots. MIT. And the next step is the degree in sustainability and climate change. Asha says she wants to be the very first head teacher that gets that degree. We launch that next year. So join us. It is absolutely possible. We can do this, and we will be the change. Thank you very, very much to all of you, and I see you on the other side.
Thank you so much, Melanie. 329,000 schools with over 40 countries is not enough when there are 195 countries around our globe. Every school needs a climate literate teacher. Let the kindergarten starters be a blueprint for you where every teacher is climate literate. If we can do it, so can you. Train your teachers to train your students to build a harmonious future. Be a leader and be a part of the change, because as Melanie said, and as Zana said, we are the change. To inspire you with her talk now, we have a story of climate activism by Ms. Leah Namugerwa, a young climate activist from Uganda.
Hello everyone, my name is Leah Namugerwa. I'm a 16-year-old climate activist from Uganda, a founder of Birthday Choice Project, and a team leader of Fridays for Future, and a founder of Birthday Choice Project. The current situation we are in right now is forcing young people to stop thinking as children. We are in a period of fighting for human race, for survival. But the crisis is not global warming, environmental destruction, but it is us. These problems are symptoms of us. Yes, man is wise, but it's not good to be wise for your own good. Wisdom knows that every action has its own equal and opposite reaction. So if we were wise, we would not be polluting the waters, cutting down the trees. We literally breathe the air that they're creating. They clean our pollution, our carbon, store and purify water, give us medicine that will cure our diseases, and we call all this progress. We are burning them down, cutting them down with brutal machines at a rate of 40 football fields. That is every minute, that is 50% of all the trees in the world gone in the last 100 years. But why are we doing all this? Just for money. It brings me great soul knowing that people of today do not think about tomorrow, put profit above people, need above greed, the rule of God above the golden rule. They're using nature as a credit card with no speeding limits, overdrafting animals to extinction, stealing away our chance to see their uniqueness, poison the waters so much that we cannot even swim in them, and they call all this progress. We cannot allow history to be written by the weak. It is our duty to protect Mother Nature from those who want to steal, from those who refuse to see her beauty. We have the biggest stake in our future, and if we don't fight, it will be taken away. We won't see the next generation. Call me crazy, but I think we have the right to eat safe food, to drink clean water, to breathe air free from plastic, and all these unnatural rights. However, we can redirect this. We should not look at the government's policymakers. We are the foundation of our generation. It is up to us to take care of this planet. It is our only home. If we don't work together, we'll equally go extinct. I personally take climate action. I started school striking last year, and it has now been 89 weeks since I started calling for climate action and spreading climate awareness. I realized people in my country don't know what is happening around the world. I started raising awareness in schools, societies, communities, and all over the world. Plastic business is booming, but plastic waste is ending up in our water bodies. We cannot even swim in our waters just because of plastics floating on our water bodies. Fish is being poisoned every minute, every now and then. I therefore started the petition to ask my president to ban plastic bags in my country. When I was turning 15 years old last year, I refused to cut cake. I refused to throw any birthday parties because my planet was dying and I was just celebrating for nothing. I decided to plant 200 trees, and even this year when I was turning 16 years old in August, I decided to plant 500 trees. I started a project called Birthday Trees, where I plant trees on behalf of people who want to celebrate their birthdays like I do. I have since planted over 6,000 trees. Standing tall for the trees not only will save the lives of trees, but also protect the homes of animals to live in their homes. Also balance the amount of pollution that we pollute. However, we are the problem, but we can also be the solution. This is also the way I chose to be the solution, celebrating my birthday by planting trees. Let's not wait until the last tree has been cut and the last fish has been poisoned for us to wake up. Remember, you're not too young to make a difference. You're not too young to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leah. We do need to protect our future, and if we don't fight, Mother Earth will take it away from us. This is not a battle against her. We need to fight for her. And it is not only the voices of those present here today that need to be heard, but we have messages from students across who wish to guide you on the path of sustainability, just like Leah and Missy Priya. Here is a short video of student voices to motivate you to walk on the right path that will help the planet.
I'm really excited to be representing GWIS in the Scope Conference 2020. No other year in recent history has highlighted the need for global cooperation as much as this one. And while the world is fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, the planet is fighting the disastrous effects of climate change. We need to wake up to the fierce urgency of the now. This is what Jim Yong Kim once said, the former president of the World Bank. So, are you ready to act?
Today I'm going to be explaining what EcoSchools does at GIS. So EcoSchools is an entirely student-led, for the students, by the students, eco-friendly and sustainability initiative here at GIS. Essentially what we do is inform, educate, and give opportunities for students to participate in sustainability and environmentally conscious programs that help make them understand why it's so important to be environmentally friendly, as well as allow them to go hands-on and physically change the world to support the environment.
Climate change is a reality that is happening now, and we can see its impact across the world. We humans are the main contributors to climate change, and our planet is in its worst state. We shouldn't ignore its alarming effects on our one and only planet. The future may be unknown, but one thing is for certain. Our future will depend on decisions taken today. The climate change challenges we are facing now are a result of years of misusing our own environment. In this conference, we are going to stand against this global issue. Together, we can create hope. Together, we can create a better future for us and the next generations to live in. We will use our courage and imagination to solve the biggest global issue on Earth. Are you up for the challenge? Join us in Scope 2020, and together, we can create a better future.
Climate change. Climate change is a growing conflict in our world these days. Have you ever thought how you could stop climate change and bring sustainability? There are numerous methods to stop climate change. This includes simple ways like riding a bicycle instead of car for short distances, turning off the lights in your room when no one is there, and many more. Together, with all our contributions combined, we can stop climate change, develop sustainability, and make our world a better place.
Climate change caused by global increase in the temperature triggers multiple negative effects on the planet. These effects interrelate with each other and increase their violence and putting at risk the species that inhabit the earth, including the humans. But dear friends, do not panic, as the governments, communities, cities, and companies have come together to act. We can still escape the worst impacts of climate change and build a safer future for all.
No challenge poses a greater threat to our future generations than climate change. If left unchecked, it has the potential to negatively impact health, food supplies, biodiversity, and livelihoods across the globe. This is why we must wake up to the urgency of this issue. We must come together as individuals, corporations, and communities to choose low carbon, to choose to lead greener, healthier lives. This is why we at Gems Mod Academy are set to discuss this issue at Scope 2020.
We humans are morally responsible towards environment. For our selfish gains, we can't monopolize resources as it belongs to all the creatures on the biosphere. The pandemic is an eye-opener for the dreaded consequences. Our little efforts to sustain environment will bring wonders. To be on the path of sustainability, giving back to nature is GSSIS's way of paying gratitude. Management has used high-quality air filters, solar panels, and drip irrigation for the greenery around the school. 90% of our students are carpooled in school transport. GSSIS is the only school to have been awarded Certified Green by the Dubai government.
Climate change is real, it's here, and it's not going away. The rise in global temperatures over the last several decades is a matter of public record. Science has firmly concluded that the cause of this is the rising emissions of greenhouse gases. As residents of this beautiful planet, it is our job to ensure that we leave this earth a better place than we found it. So, what's stopping you? Join the fight against climate change. Take the stance. Trust me when I say that the small steps you take today will have a huge impact on tomorrow.
Our own English high school, Sharjah, has been a pioneer of fostering a generation with environmental consciousness. Various initiatives and activities are undertaken on a regular basis, from Penzea to hydroponics garden. Organic farming is practiced by the students from kindergarten to grade 12. The students plant the seeds with their own hands, and the harvest is used by the home science students to cook nutritious food for the support staff. Zero Plastic Initiative. Teachers were given jute bags and porcelain cups to avoid using plastics. The students are encouraged to bring steel tiffin boxes and water bottles. The school eco club Eva Green implements monthly activities on various topics of environmental significance. Students from KG 1 to grade 12 participate actively and wholeheartedly. The students enthusiastically involve themselves in collecting recyclable materials. This year, our school bagged the third prize in the inter-school recycling competition hosted by BIA. Our school is also a proud recipient of the Green Flag Award for 3 consecutive years. These are just a few to name. Our initiatives to make the earth a better place continue with more zeal and enthusiasm with each passing day.
Sustainability is no longer about doing less harm, it's about doing more. The avoidance of depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance is known as sustainability. Sustainability helps our future generations because we are saving natural resources for the future. Now, because of COVID-19, we are having many benefits, like pollution level decrease, animals can go where they want, and plants can grow freely. Thank you.
Over the centuries, humans have exploited the Earth's resources to their advantage. Yet, we fail to remember that our Earth is one of the only planets which sustains life. To say that saving the Earth is the need of the hour would be an understatement. However, it is never too late for us to start making a change and be a part of the ripple effect that sustainable living promotes. So, let's live sustainable to live to see a better future. Join us for Scope 2020.
Saving the earth is indeed the need of the hour, and saying that is still an understatement. Let us live sustainably and look at the better future that we need to have not only for ourselves but the generations to come. GEMS education has always been a frontrunner in this region for any and all changes. I would now like to welcome Mr. Dino Warkey, CEO of GEMS Education, to share his vision and how he sees GEMS to uphold a sustainable world for us.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be given the opportunity to participate in the world's first school conference of parties Expo. I'm so incredibly proud of the entire community of kindergarten starters for leading the way on environmental education, climate literacy, and climate action, not just for GEMS education, but for schools and for children around the world. There's very little that I need to do or say to inspire you all beyond what our young green activists, Leah, Lissy, and Kiefer have already said, what our fellow panelists have already said to you. Furthermore, none of you need the inspiration or motivation of individuals to spur you to action. I am not overstating it when I say that the fate of the world depends on your ability to act and to drive the change that you wish to see in the world, especially on climate action. We are living through perhaps the most significant social, political, and economic dislocation of our lifetime, perhaps in many lifetimes. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation recently released their Goalkeepers report for 2020, and it's valuable to understand the context that we're living in. By the end of 2021, the adverse global impact to the economy will be $12 trillion, and that's despite $18 trillion of government-backed stimulus spending. The last time this many countries were in recession was in 1870. Global poverty has increased by 7%, eradicating 20 consecutive years of progress in this area. The majority of the global SDGs have regressed, and there is a real danger that many will not be met by 2030. As Bill Gates put it, COVID has taken us back 25 years in the space of 25 weeks. And yet, despite the real and tangible loss faced by all of humanity due to the COVID crisis, our planet has recovered. Carbon emissions went down. Dolphins reappeared in the canals of Venice. There were blue skies that re-emerged over Delhi and Beijing. So the question to ask ourselves is, does the fate and sustainability of our planet come at the cost of human suffering? Does economic and social prosperity and happiness have an inherent conflict with environmental sustainability and climate action? These will be some of the important discussions, debates, and questions that you will encounter over the next 2 days. I, for one, believe that we are living in an era of unimaginable possibilities, where we do not have to choose between the future of our planet and the future of humanity. In fact, can we truly unlock human potential and solve all of the grand challenges of the global SDGs without ensuring that our planet, that our home is secure for generations and millennia to come? I wish you all a very successful Scope 2020. And I'm confident that all of you, armed with the foundations of your education and your values, will be a powerful catalyst that will undoubtedly improve the state of our world. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you so much for those kind words, Dino. We are indeed living in an era of unimaginable possibilities. Let us, as Dino said, unlock human potential and ensure that our home is secure, not the home that is built with bricks, but the home that we call planet Earth. I believe that this has been not only an exhilarating, but a very inspiring morning. And with that, I would like to bring the opening plenary to a close. Do join us via YouTube Live to watch the events at the GEMS Education channel. You can join us for the first Scope Delegation Pool A, which begins right now as we are speaking. You will see students discuss issues related to various sub-themes related to climate change faced by distressed countries around the world. You also have a chance to listen to students share their thoughts on various SDGs at noon today. At 2:30, we start with Scope Delegation Pool B. Do join us and share the word about Scope 2020, which is the first school conference of parties exposition around the world, bringing students together to discuss climate change and how we can curb it. Thank you everyone for being with us here today, and I hope that you have a safe and pleasant day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. Have a fantastic morning.
Thank
Now
you.
we need to go and put our shoes on and have a cup of tea.
Have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zena. Thank you, Asha. Thank you for the bye, Dino. See you in November. See you in November, Asha. Can't wait.
Bye.
Exciting. Bye-bye, love. Bye. We'll watch them all. Leah, I'm going to be getting in touch with you. What is your email? I'll ask Asha for it, okay? We're sponsoring 2,000 schools.